The crystalline spires of Vorth Prime caught the amber sunlight, casting rainbow patterns across the landing platform where Dr. Jenna Reeves adjusted her translation device for the third time. As the lead xenobiologist for the Terran exploration corps, she'd studied hundreds of alien species, but the Vorthok remained frustratingly mysterious. Their preliminary communications had been limited to mathematical concepts and basic pictographs. Remember Dr. Reeves? Captain Morrison's voice crackled through her comm unit. This is humanity's first face-to-face contact with the Vorthok. Every gesture matters. Jenna nodded, watching as a delegation of tall, graceful beings approached across the platform. The Vorthok moved with fluid precision, their opalescent skin shifting between pale blue and silver in the changing light. Delicate gill slits along their elongated necks fluttered rhythmically, and their large dark eyes seemed to absorb everything around them. The lead figure stepped forward, clearly the designated greeter based on the intricate patterns etched into their forehead. Without warning, they tilted their head back and released a haunting, melodic hum that resonated through the air like a tuning fork. Struck against crystal, the sound sent unexpected shivers down Jenna's spine. The harmonic frequency was unlike anything in human vocal range, yet it stirred something primal within her. The other Vorthok joined in, creating a complex symphony of overlapping tones that made her skin tingle and her heart race. Jenna's xenobiology training kicked in. She'd read about species that used vocalizations for mating displays the resonant frequencies triggering biochemical responses in potential partners. The way her body was reacting, the sudden warmth spreading through her chest, the heightened awareness of every sensation this had to be some kind of courtship ritual. But why would they perform a mating display during first contact? The humming reached a crescendo, and Jenna felt compelled to respond. Drawing upon her vocal training from university choir, she attempted to match their tone. Her human voice couldn't achieve their ethereal quality, but she managed a reasonable, harmonic approximation. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Every Vorthok on the platform stopped humming simultaneously. Their gill slits snapped shut. The delegation leader's eyes widened to enormous proportions, and their skin shifted to a deep purple hue Jenna hadn't seen before. A ripple of excited chittering passed through the group. Several of the younger Vorthok began what could only be described as an elaborate dance, their limbs moving in synchronized patterns while they continued making those melodic sounds. Fascinating, Jenna muttered, pulling out her field recorder. Responsive courtship behavior. The humming must serve as both species recognition and mate selection criteria. The delegation leader approached her with measured steps, their movements now carrying an almost ceremonial quality. They extended long, elegant fingers toward her face, stopping just short of touching her skin. The chittering grew more animated, and Jenna could have sworn she detected notes of celebration in their vocalizations. Dr. Reeves, Captain Morrison's voice cut through her observations. "What's your status down there?" "Our sensors are picking up some unusual energy readings." Jenna glanced around, noticing that more Vorthok had gathered at the platform's edges. They seemed to be constructing something geometric patterns, made from the same crystalline material as their architecture, ranged in concentric circles around her and the delegation. "I think I've successfully completed their greeting ritual." "Captain," she reported, still fascinated by the ongoing construction. "Though it appears to have triggered some kind of secondary ceremony, possibly a formal mate selection process." The delegation leader began a new pattern of sounds, lower, more complex, almost like a question. When Jenna attempted to respond, with another harmonic match, the purple coloration in their skin deepened, and the dancing became more frenzied. "This is remarkable," she breathed, recording everything. "They're treating vocal harmony as a compatibility indicator. The more accurately I can match their frequencies, the more excited they become. It's like they're evaluating my genetic fitness based on acoustic resonance." What Dr. Jenna Reeves didn't realize was that the Vorthok greeting hum was indeed significant, not as a mating call. It was their formal recognition of honored guests, and her response had just declared her acceptance of a role she couldn't possibly comprehend. The crystalline patterns being constructed around her weren't for mate selection. They were preparation for something far more complex. 3 hours after Jenna's encounter, diplomat Marcus Chinocafer straightened his formal jacket as he approached the towering gates of the Vorthok High Council chambers. The Baroque crystalline architecture seemed to pulse with its own inner light, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. His briefing materials had emphasized the importance of this meeting the Vorthok were evaluating humanity's worthiness for inclusion in their trade consortium. Ambassador Marcus, the translation device announced as a regal Vorthok figure emerged from the shadows. This one was different from the delegation Jenna had met, taller, with skin that shimmered between gold and deep amber, elaborate crystalline. Formations grew from their shoulders like living jewelry. I am Quillith, speaker for the Eternal Resonance. We have been anticipating your arrival. Marcus bowed formally, noting the slight emphasis on anticipating. His diplomatic training had taught him to parse every nuance in first contact scenarios. Speaker Quillith, I bring greetings from the Terran Colonial Authority and hopes for a prosperous relationship between our peoples. Quillith's large eyes seemed to study him with unsettling intensity. Their gill slits fluttered in what Marcus hoped was a positive response. Your Dr. Reeves has already begun the integration protocols. Unprecedented for a species so young in the cosmic order. Marcus felt a flicker of confusion. Integration protocols? His briefing had mentioned nothing about Jenna's biological survey triggering any kind of formal process. I'm afraid I don't understand, Speaker. Dr. Reeves was conducting standard xenobiological observations. Indeed, Quillith replied, their tone carrying what sounded like amusement. That, and her harmonic response, indicated your species' readiness for the next phase. They gestured with one elongated finger toward the council chambers. Gum. The resonance awaits your contribution. As they walked through corridors lined with singing, crystals literally singing, Marcus realized with wonder Quillith explained the Vorthok governmental structure. The Eternal Resonance was their collective decision-making body, where harmony between different viewpoints created policy through acoustic consensus. Fascinating, Marcus said genuinely. And you believe humans could participate in such a system? Dr. Reeves has already demonstrated compatibility, Quillith replied. But the resonance requires representatives from multiple facets of your society. A single voice, however harmonious, cannot speak for an entire species. They entered a vast, circular chamber where dozens of Vorthok sat in concentric rings, each humming at different frequencies. The combined sound was overwhelming, not unpleasant, but so complex that Marcus felt it in his bones. At the chamber's center sat an ornate pedestal, holding what appeared to be a sphere of pure light. The heart of resonance, Quillith explained. It amplifies and harmonizes all voices within the chamber. They reached into their robes and withdrew a smaller crystal, about the size of Marcus's palm, that pulsed with the same ethereal glow. This is your resonance key. By accepting it, you agree to speak for your people in all matters of trade, law, and peaceful coexistence. Marcus hesitated. His diplomatic training screamed warnings about accepting symbolic objects without understanding their full significance. But refusing could be interpreted as an insult, potentially ending humanity's chances at this alliance before they'd begun. What exactly does accepting this entail? He asked carefully. Quillith's skin shifted to a warmer amber tone. Wisdom in caution. The resonance key creates a harmonic bond between bearer and collective. You would gain the ability to sense the emotional and intellectual currents of the resonance, while contributing your own perspectives to our deliberations. It sounded like some form of limited telepathy, exactly the kind of breakthrough that could revolutionize interspecies relations. Marcus weighed the potential benefits against the risks. The Vorthok had shown no hostile intentions, and their technology was clearly centuries ahead of human capabilities. Would this bond be permanent? He asked. The resonance adapts to the bearer's lifespan, Quillith replied. For your species, perhaps 60 to 80% of your years, long enough to establish meaningful dialogue between our peoples. Marcus made his decision. Accepting the crystal, he felt an immediate tingling sensation as it warmed against his palm. The chamber's complex harmonies suddenly became comprehensible. He could sense the individual voices within the collective, emotions and intentions. flowing like streams into a river. The assembled Vorthok burst into what could only be described as a plaza cascading, series of melodic chimes that resonated through the chamber. Kile's eyes widened and their skin shifted to an intense, golden hue. Remarkable, they breathed. Your harmonic signature is exceptionally clear. The resonance accepts you not merely as a trade representative, but as a full participant in our governance structure. Marcus felt a moment of panic. I'm sorry, governance structure. I thought this was about trade negotiations. Among the Vorthok, there is no distinction, Quillith explained. All who participate in the resonance become part of our extended family, our collective consciousness. By accepting the key, you have agreed to join our society permanently. The crystal in Marcus's hand pulsed brighter, and he could feel new pathways opening in his mind, connections to the dozens of Vorthok voices around him. It was overwhelming, but not unpleasant, like suddenly being able to hear music in colors. This is quite a bit more than I anticipated, Marcus managed, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure while his consciousness expanded to accommodate these new sensations. Quillith approached him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Do not fear, young diplomat. The integration process is gradual. You will retain your individual identity while gaining access to our collective wisdom. As the implications of his situation began to sink in, Marcus realized that what he'd thought was a simple trade negotiation had become something far more complex. He was no longer just humanity's representative to the Vorthok. He was apparently becoming part of their society entirely. The crystal continued to pulse, and with each beat, he could feel himself becoming more connected to the alien minds around him. Dr. Sofia Valdez ran her gloved fingers along the smooth surface of the artifact, marveling at its construction. The Vorthok had granted the human archaeological team unprecedented access to their historical archives' vast crystalline libraries that stored not just information, but actual memories from their past. As the expedition's lead archaeologist, Sophia had spent months preparing for this opportunity. The patterns are incredibly complex, she murmured into her recording device, studying the geometric etchings that covered the artifact's surface. The object resembled a metallic flower, with dozens of petals that shifted between translucent and opaque as the light hit them from different angles. Unlike anything in the terrestrial archaeological record, her Vorthok guide, Threneth, watched. From a respectful distance, this one was smaller than the others Sophia had met, with skin that maintained a steady pearl-white color and intricate tattoos covering their arms. That is a memory vessel from the third resonance, Threneth explained. It contains the experiences of our first contact with the Zephyrian Collective approximately 12,000 years ago. Sophia's eyes widened. Human civilization was barely 5,000 years old, and these memories are still intact? The resonance preserves all significant experiences, Threneth replied. Each contact with a new species, every major discovery, all moments of great harmony or discord, they become part of our collective memory. Sophia carefully lifted the artifact, surprised by its weight. Despite appearing delicate, it felt substantial in her hands. How does the storage mechanism work? Some kind of quantum crystalline matrix? Physical storage is only part of the process, Threneth said, moving closer. The true memories exist in the harmonic frequencies generated by the crystal structure. To access them, one must achieve resonance with the recorded experiences. Fascinating. Is it safe for humans to attempt this resonance? Threneth's skin flickered briefly to pale blue, an expression Sophia had learned indicated uncertainty. The process has never been attempted by your species, but given Dr. Reeves' successful harmonic integration and Ambassador Marcus's acceptance into the Resonance Council, I believe you may possess the necessary compatibility. Sophia felt a thrill of scientific excitement. The opportunity to experience actual memories from an alien civilization was beyond anything she'd dreamed possible. What would I need to do? Simply hold the vessel and attempt to match your mental rhythms to its harmonic frequency, Threneth explained. The artifact will guide the process if you are compatible. Sophia had never been one to turn down a groundbreaking research opportunity, settling into a comfortable position on the archive chamber's crystalline bench. She cradled the memory vessel against her chest and closed her eyes, At first, she felt nothing unusual, just the cool weight of the artifact and the ambient humming that seemed to permeate all Vorthok architecture. Then, gradually, she became aware of a subtle vibration emanating from the vessel. It wasn't audible, more like a rhythm she could feel in her bones. Following her instincts, Sophia attempted to synchronize her breathing and heartbeat to match this internal cadence. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Her consciousness suddenly expanded beyond her physical form, experiencing memories that weren't her own. She was soaring through the void between stars. Part of a Vorthok exploration fleet, encountering crystalline beings that sang in frequencies that made space itself vibrate. She felt their wonder, their excitement, their careful diplomatic approaches to these alien entities. But something was wrong. The memories weren't just playing like a recording, they were integrating with her own experiences, weaving themselves into her personal history. She could remember being hatched in the crystal nurseries of ancient Vorth Prime. Remember the taste of photosynthetic nutrients. Remember the first time she'd achieved harmonic resonance with her clutch siblings. "Threneth," she gasped, opening her eyes but finding the chamber spinning around her. "Something's happening. I can't distinguish between their memories and mine." Threneth's skin had shifted to a vibrant orange alarm. Sophia somehow knew, though she'd never learned that particular color code. "The vessel has accepted you," they said, their voice carrying both excitement and concern. "We're experiencing memory integration, not just observation." "What does that mean?" Sophia asked, though part of her already knew the answer. The Vorthok memories in her mind supplied the information. Memory integration was the process by which individuals became permanent members of the collective consciousness. "It means you are becoming one of us," Threneth explained, rushing to her side. "The vessel recognizes you as compatible for full integration into the eternal resonance. Your memories will become part of our collective archive, while you gain access to 12,000 years of Vorthok experience." Sophia tried to stand, but her sense of balance was completely disrupted. She could feel gravity in ways her human body had never experienced, could sense magnetic fields and quantum fluctuations that should have been impossible for her nervous system to detect. "I didn't consent to this," she managed. "The artifact responds to intention and compatibility," Threneth said apologetically. "Your deep desire to understand our history, combined with your species' apparent harmonic sensitivity, triggered the integration protocol. Once begun, the process cannot be reversed without damaging both sets of memories." As more alien memories flooded her consciousness, Sophia realized she was facing the same situation as her colleagues. What had begun as scientific research had become something far more personal and permanent. She could feel her individual identity beginning to merge with the vast network of Vorthok experiences. The memory vessel pulsed brighter in her hands, and with each pulse, Sophia Valdez became a little less human and a little more part of something incomprehensibly vast. Engineer David Park wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the damaged Vorthok power conduit. The crystalline technology was unlike anything in human engineering, organic-looking structures that seemed to grow rather than being manufactured. When the Vorthok had requested human assistance with their damaged infrastructure, David had jumped at the opportunity to study their systems firsthand. "The harmonic frequency is destabilized," his Vorthok supervisor, Zeleth, explained. This one had deep purple skin with silver markings that formed complex geometric patterns across their torso. The conduit requires recalibration to restore proper energy flow.
Please.
David ran his scanner along the crystal formation, noting the irregular readings. "The fracture appears to be disrupting the resonance pattern. In human systems, we'd simply replace the damaged component, but this seems to be a living network." "Precisely," Zeleth agreed. "Our technology is grown, not built. Each component must harmonize with the whole for optimal function. Replacement is possible, but integration of new elements requires careful frequency matching." David studied the readouts on his scanner. The power conduit operated on principles that challenged his understanding of physics, somehow converting harmonic vibrations directly into usable energy. "How do you achieve the frequency matching? Some kind of tuning device?" Zeleth's skin shifted to a lighter purple. What David had learned indicated mild amusement. "We use our natural harmonic abilities. Each Vorthok engineer contributes their voice to the calibration process. The combined frequencies guide the crystal growth and integration. But I don't have those natural abilities, David pointed out. Human vocal range is much more limited than yours. Perhaps, Zeleth said thoughtfully, but your colleagues have shown remarkable adaptability to our harmonic systems. Dr. Reeves achieved resonance compatibility. Ambassador Marcus integrated with our governing council, and Dr. Valdez has become part of our memory archives. Your species appears to possess latent harmonic sensitivity. David felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. What would attempting the calibration involve? You would join our engineering harmony circle, Zeleth explained, gesturing to a group of 6 other Vorthok engineers seated around the damaged conduit. Together, we generate the precise frequency patterns needed to guide the crystal regrowth. If you can achieve resonance with our group, the repair should proceed normally. David considered the implications. His colleagues had all experienced significant changes after their interactions with Vorthok harmonic systems, but they'd also gained unprecedented access to alien knowledge and capabilities. As an engineer, the opportunity to directly interface with technology this advanced was irresistible. What are the risks? He asked. Zeleth's markings brightened slightly. For your species, unknown. But the Harmony Circle creates temporary mental links between participants to coordinate our efforts. You might experience some cognitive overlap during the process. David nodded, setting down his scanner and joining the circle of Vorthok engineers. They made space for him between Zeleth and another engineer, with bright blue skin covered in intricate tattoos. What do I need to do? Listen to our combined harmonies and attempt to find your place within them, Zeleth instructed. The crystal will respond to unified intention and coordinated frequency generation. The Vorthok engineers began their harmonic sequence, complex overlapping tones that seemed to make the air itself vibrate. David could feel the sound waves penetrating his body, causing strange resonances in his chest cavity and skull. The damaged crystal began to glow softly in response to their vocalizations. Following his instincts, David began humming along with their harmonies. His human voice couldn't match their ethereal quality, but he found he could contribute bass notes that seemed to anchor their higher frequencies. The crystal's glow intensified. He could see new growth beginning to fill the fracture. But something else was happening. As David synchronized his voice with the engineering circle, he began to sense their thoughts and intentions directly. He could feel Zeleth's careful calculation of frequency ratios, could perceive another engineer's concern about crystal stability, could understand the collective focus required to guide the regrowth process. The mental connection deepened as the harmony continued. David found himself accessing knowledge he'd never learned, understanding of crystalline matrix structures, intuitive grasp of harmonic engineering principles, awareness of quantum resonance effects that human science hadn't discovered. It was like suddenly being granted decades of education in alien technology. Remarkable, he breathed during a brief pause in the harmonies. I can actually understand how this works now. The crystals aren't just storage media, they're living computational matrices that process information through frequency modulation. Zeleth's skin brightened to an almost luminous purple. You've achieved full integration with our engineering protocols. Your mind has been opened to our technological consciousness. David felt a moment of panic as he realized what had happened. Like his colleagues, he'd been drawn into the Vorthok collective consciousness. But his integration had been with their technological knowledge base rather than their political or historical systems. The court! He could feel the vast network of Vorthok engineering minds connected to his own, sharing calculations and innovations across their entire civilization. The damaged crystal completed its regrowth, now pulsing with steady energy flow. But David Park was no longer just a human engineer. He'd become part of something vast and interconnected. His individual expertise now contributing to a technological consciousness that spanned worlds. As the harmony circle dissolved, David realized that he no longer wanted to leave. The 4 humans sat in uncomfortable silence within the crystalline meeting chamber, each struggling to process their individual experiences. Captain Morrison had demanded an emergency conference after receiving increasingly strange reports from his landing team. Now, faced with the reality of what had happened to his people, he seemed at a loss for words. "Let me understand this correctly," Morrison said slowly, pacing before the seated group. Dr. Reeves believed she was responding to a mating call and accidentally accepted some kind of guest status. Ambassador Marcus thought he was accepting a trade agreement and became part of their government. Dr. Valdez was examining historical artifacts and became integrated with their collective memory. An engineer Park was helping with repairs and joined their technological consciousness. Jenna shifted uncomfortably, very aware of the Vorthok observers seated along the chamber's perimeter. Their presence no longer felt foreign to her. The harmonic bonds she'd formed made her acutely sensitive to their emotional states. "Captain, I don't think any of our interpretations were entirely accurate." "What do you mean?" Morrison demanded. It was Marcus who answered, his voice carrying an odd harmonic undertone that hadn't been there before. "The Vorthok don't think about relationships the way humans do. Individual actions, group consciousness, technological integration, historical memory, they're all part of the same systemic approach to incorporating new species into their civilization." Sophia nodded, her eyes showing flecks of the opalescent coloring that marked Vorthok vision. "The memories I've integrated contained records of this process. We've done this before, with dozens of species over millennia. Each contact follows the same pattern: harmonic compatibility testing, governance integration, historical anchoring, and technological synthesis." "You're saying this was planned?" Morrison asked, his voice rising. David spoke up, his words carrying the precise cadence of Vorthok engineering communication. "Not planned exactly, but predictable. Their society is designed to identify and integrate compatible species through natural behavioral responses. We weren't tricked, we were evaluated." Speaker Quillith rose from their position among the observers, their golden skin shimmering with what the humans now recognized as satisfied accomplishment. "Your species demonstrates remarkable adaptability, Captain Morrison. In less than one day, your representatives have successfully integrated with our primary social systems." "Integration implies choice," Morrison said firmly. "My people weren't informed about the permanence of these ... processes." "Choice was demonstrated through action," Quillith replied calmly. Dr. Reeves chose to respond harmonically to our greeting. Ambassador Marcus chose to accept the resonance key. Dr. Valdez chose to seek deep understanding of our history. Engineer Park chose to participate in our technological maintenance. Each decision revealed your species' compatibility with our collective consciousness. Jenna found herself defending the Vorthok position, though she wasn't entirely sure why. "Captain, what we've gained access to is extraordinary. I can perceive biological systems in ways that will revolutionize xenobiology. The harmonic integration allows for communication beyond anything we thought possible." Marcus nodded in agreement. "The governmental participation gives humanity a voice in decisions affecting dozens of species across multiple star systems. We're not just making first contact, we're joining a galactic community that's existed for millennia. And I have access to historical records spanning thousands of years of interstellar civilization," Sophia added. "The archaeological implications alone justify the integration process."